Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are proud to have you here because you guys wanted them, so I brought them back. I don't normally bring back a guest this quickly, but you guys were adamant. You wanted Tom King back, and we're going to bring Tom King in momentarily. But first, let us say hello to each and every one of you, including Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Race Fan with a silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee, sharing the bronze medal tonight. Paramarv, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Race Fan, a pleasure. Necessary Dialogue, JSCO, and Robert Lamoth. How you guys doing? Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth when you're talking UFOs. So Mel is lubing us up as we speak. Frankie B, how you doing? Indrid Cold, been a while. Indrid will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Desert Rat and Lisa Smith, nice to have you both here. Whistling Mike, how you doing? Nice to see you early. Luscious Jules, good to see you early as well. Southern Sierra, how you doing? Otherwise known as Double Day, how you doing? Good to have you here. Walter Kochabinski, you know what Walter has a habit of? Always untying his shoelaces while he's walking. Yeah, just feels better when he's untying his shoelaces. All right, scrolling on down, we say hello to Jaquetta. Number 28 in your program, starting on defense tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. Thomas Rock, how are you tonight, my friend? Good to see you. As we scroll on down on our roll call, Sensational Shelley is here. Sensational Shelley will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Tankella, how are you? United we stand. Thanks for coming on in. Magnus Vermagnuson, nice to have you here. Jay Trueseeker, East Coast Turnaround. And Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Thank you, everybody, for coming on in. We scroll on down, and we next say hello to, well, let's get there. Let's get there first. It's Undead Jed, everybody. It's Undead Jed. Al Garay over on Twitch. So excited for tonight. He did 57 reps of curls at 220 pounds. 57 of 220. His arms are jacked for tonight's show. Jerence Carter, nice to see you. Matthew Goodka and Search and Destroy. Good to have you both here. Let's continue on. It's Michael Lastuca, everybody. There he is. Give him a wave. He always waves back. And who is next? Carol Lamario. Blue Cruz, nice to have you both here. Thank you for coming on in. And up next we have, well, let's see. I like this. Is it Tom King or is it Tom the King? I think with his beautiful hair, it's probably Tom the King. Or maybe Tom the King. Let's go with the King. There we go. Scrolling on down. Up next, we have Aussie Boss Tiger. How's tomorrow looking? Am I alive tomorrow? Give me an update if you don't mind. I'd appreciate it. See if I made it to another day. Sharon Sunshine, welcome to SOR Chat. And who is next here? Well, I've said all of you. I've said all of you. I've said all of you. And all of you. All of you. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're going into the UFO world trying to track them. Tom King is here, researcher, scientist, experiencer of seeing the weird and strange. We are in roll call right now on our YouTube side, and we are very much caught up. Very much caught up right there. So I want to remind all of you, you can get your tickets for Caribou Con 2026 in the Caribou region of British Columbia, 108 Mile Ranch. We want to see you there. Tickets are on sale at cariboucon.com. Cariboucon.com. Want to see you all there. Julie Rios, how are you? Erica Stover, nice to see you. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out and get yourself some. Yeah, just go get it. It looks good. Do me a favor. Throw those horns up. It's that time. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have an amazing show tonight. We had him on a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to bring him on right now. Tom King is back looking for UFOs in the heart of the desert of Arizona. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. Then right after that, we are going to have Terry Hall, who will be in for the weird news of the week. So let's get right to it as we reintroduce Tom King. He returns to Spaced Out Radio for an in-depth discussion on the intersection of UFOs and advanced technology. A respected researcher, technologist, and eyewitness to the historic Phoenix Lights event, Tom brings a unique perspective shaped by both personal experience and technological expertise. His ability to bridge real-world sightings with emerging tech makes him a compelling voice in modern UFO conversation. In tonight's show, we're going to get into this because literally our YouTube audience was so happy and so excited when Tom was on just a couple of weeks ago. They're like, Dave, you need to bring him back. You need to bring him back soon because we have questions. We have a lot of questions. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So let's bring him in. Tom King, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my friend. Normally, I want to tell you this, Tom. Normally, I have a rule. A guest can't come back on for at least 4 to 6 months minimum, just to keep it mixed up. So that way you don't get a lot of the same names. Sure, we have our monthly features, but you were seriously requested. There was, I think, about 40 or 50 people at our chat room who were like, you got to bring Tom back soon. We have questions. So the audience made me do it. The audience made me break my rule because you were so awesome just a couple of weeks ago.
Well, Dave, thank you for having me back. And I am honored from the audience requesting me back. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I brought a plethora of great new vibes and new news. And keep requesting me back, and I'll come on anytime you guys need me. There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and there's been a lot going on since we last talked. You know, James Fox does the UFO hearings in Washington, D.C. There's been more sightings going on. There seems to be a lot of pressure with Congress again. Tim Burchett starting to talk about the subject again. Anna Paulina Luna, your friend Lou Elizondo coming back out and doing interviews again. I mean, it seems like we're starting to see a real push again as we get into the second month of this year that UFOs is going to start becoming a topic of discussion again.
Exactly. The last 5 years has a lot of momentum going. And I think over the holiday period that, the hump that everybody's kind of over now, I kind of recharged, ready to hit the ground running, pick up where I left off previously on the last conversation and what I'm doing ufology wise. It's good to have a little bit of downtime so you don't burn out. And I don't know how you do this up at night and then you have a life outside of this. You're just amazing. I'm wondering if you're like a time traveler, Dave, or somebody, if there's an endoskeleton under that skin. You're superhuman.
Tom, I like to call it stupidity and naivety. Okay. Because honestly, I work 15 hours a day. I've worked 15 hours a day for the last 11 years. And I am a workaholic, but you know what? I love this show and these topics. And there aren't a lot of people with professional radio experience covering this subject anymore. Sure, they may dabble on it, okay, if something hits the news, but full time, there's not a lot of real true radio guys and ladies doing this type of programming. So if I don't do it, who's going to do it? And I know our audience loves it because I haven't been kicked off any radio stations yet because of this subject. So we got to keep going.
I feel the same way. Somebody has to do what we are doing. Everybody can bring something different to the UFO field as far as research. We all contribute. I'm doing what I'm good at, and you're doing what you're good at. And there's a lot of people just sitting around, just having fun, watching football, getting tanked, and that's fine. But somebody needs to put these things under surveillance that have us under surveillance and to really break outside of our last really hard to crack mystery on this planet. It needs to be done.
I'm going to give you a compliment here, if you don't mind. So, I know you're a humble guy. You're a guy who doesn't, search for the publicity. You're not an egotistical guy, but the one thing that I love about you, and I learned about you from our interview a couple of weeks ago, because we had talked previously, but not very often. I loved the fact at how brilliant you are. You are somebody who is, in my opinion, a technological wizard. And the one thing about this field, we need more Tom Kings out there. And let me explain why, Tom. Because you are a technologist. You are somebody who does it for a living. You build robots just for the fun of it because you have spare time. You've built UFO DAP systems for your house with antennas that go up 30, 40 feet in the air just because you want to try and track these things. You just go and do it. And a lot of people in your position and knowledge and smarts about technology and UFOs, they try and hide it from the public. They go into these special groups that are, maybe trying for government contracts, or maybe they're part of special UFO programs mixed in with a bunch of scientists and university professors and, once again, government agents. But you have decided that you don't want to do that. You want to be able to get this information to the public. Some people would call it rogue. Other people will thank you till the nth degree for your brilliance in doing this. And I think you need to be commended for that, because there isn't a lot of Tom Kings doing this in the UFO world.
Well, thank you for that very much, Dave. That's really heartfelt. There's a few other people doing what I'm doing around the country, so I'm not in this alone. But you are right. We could use a lot of help. We could use some people, maybe stop buying jet skis in Arizona you couldn't use and go buy a camera. You don't need to have tens of thousands of dollars to get into this to record and track UFOs. You can just start with whatever you have in your back pocket, move up from there. For most people, I would just, if you're going to even get a camera outside of a phone, just get one camera and stick with it. Make that really good, know that thing inside and out. And just don't try and follow in the footsteps of people like me, because I don't expect people to go out there and buy everything there is in Fry's Electronics, or camera wise. But you can watch what I'm doing and follow out what not to do, what cameras not to buy, which ones work, which ones don't. And best practices, how to spend your time if you want to hunt these things. And there's just a lot going on. I got my first capture this year. It was sitting on a hard drive. Didn't even know about it until about 4 hours ago. I started going through files and I went, wow, I already have footage from 2026. I didn't even know about it.
Tom, why do you do it your way? Why do you remain independent? Why is it important to you to get the information to the public when so many others have flipped trying to get that elusive government contract on UFOs?
Not interested in chasing money. If I was, I'd be, working for some big tech company, rolling in tons of money doing crypto or something like that. Not interested in government stuff. Don't work under NDAs. I think a lot of people are using NDAs as a shield to hide behind. Kind of like a lot of married guys use their wife and say, oh, wife called, got to go. Or, can't have more than 3 beers, wife calling. People do that in ufology with NDAs and say, I can't talk about that, the NDA, or I know it all, but the NDA prevents me from telling you the secrets of the universe. I don't peddle in that crap. I don't deal with spooks. Nobody that I skywatch with on a regular basis used to work for the CIA or any of those type of groups. They're just regular people like me and you and whoever wants to show up and spend time doing this. And what's interesting is our stuff is turning into movies. Yesterday we just had our first one come out on Amazon Prime called Skywatch. And this is about the adventures that we did last summer up and around Sedona. And we went there multiple times. And people who have been following my channel have been watching this turn out near real time. And I upload the footage, the raw footage, so they can look through it. A lot of people also hides behind peer review, right? So then it's like, hey, man, you're never going to see this footage. If you do, it's going to be a tiny 30-second snippet from 5 years ago that's irrelevant. So we get our information out there on a timely basis. And one of the things besides, skywatching in the channel is I'm just real lucky to work with Clive Christopher, and he's a filmmaker, and he films us and comes out and does research himself. And he has the connections to get this on Apple, on YouTube, or Netflix and Tubi and all the big streamers that are near impossible to break through with your production and get them out to the masses. So we're very lucky to do that. And we just started with our first episode that came out last Wednesday. I don't know, or I'm not involved with the production at all, or the post-production aspect of it. They just come out and I find out about them when you guys do. But I know there's about 5 more that were already filmed from 2025 that went through the editing process and they're scored. And they come out within, from the time we skywatch to the time you would see them on a streamer, is maybe 7 months, 8 months. It's pretty quick.
Do you think, Tom, that with all the people that you have shown your work to, and you're in a good group of people right now that are independent, looking to tell good stories with good connections, do you think this is the way we're going to see ufology move forward, because people are getting sick and tired with so much government or spook intervention?
Well, I would hope so. Right now, the UFO community is controlled by former people from the intelligence community, not researchers. I go back into the 90s when I started, and in order, the leaders, the people who were kind of the heads of ufology, were people who had been in this for 10 to 20 years. Linda Moulton told a friend of mine, don't trust anybody who's not been in this field for 10 years because they will burn you. Our friend Terry Hall, I told him the divorce rate in ufology is about 97%, which means if you meet 10 people, within about a year or two after you get to know these people, about 9 of them you can't stand anymore. That's just the backstab in the circular firing squad, and this is crazy. So now it's run by spooks. It's run by people who were working in the cover up, and now they were a bad guy. Now they say they're a good guy, and they get all the press. They get all the big, platforming from all the people who got hundreds and millions of subscribers. And God knows if they're steering us in the right direction or just leading us astray. So it'd be cool if the real UFO community, the people who watch this stuff, actually took it back from the spooks, because we're not getting anything. We're all hearing, well, if the president gets rid of our NDAs, I could talk. I'm pretty convinced that if you took any of these, say, 60 whistleblowers that are out there on the YouTube circuits and whatnot, if you had one of them pull Snowden, they wouldn't arrest him, because if they did, it'd prove everything he said was real. But I don't think any of them have the kahunas to do it, because they're hiding behind book sales and NDAs and all this other crap. If they have a good gravy train of money coming in, why do they want to ruin it? And I'm just kind of tired of it.
Your example is proven fact already. Never mind Edward Snowden. But if anybody knows the name Robert McNeil, he is the Navy SEAL that came out and said he's the one who shot and killed Osama bin Laden on the raid in Pakistan. Now, he broke every NDA law that the Navy has, but they're not going to arrest him. This guy is considered a hero among Americans, killing the big bad wolf, right? They're not going to arrest him. They're not going to do anything about that. So you are right. If somebody did come out and go all Snowden on the UFO world, they wouldn't bust them open. They couldn't, because it would admit that there is a major cover-up.
Yeah, if some of the top people came out who are on News Nation once a week, pretty much, and then just came out and said, look, here's where 5 of the craft are. Here's where the underwater base is. Here's whatever, kind of like Bob Lazar did back in the 80s. And I don't think anything would happen to him. What are they going to do? Arrest him and then make him a UFO martyr? And now all of a sudden they're rich. They get GoFundMe for 10 million, 20 million overnight. And they get the world's best lawyers working for them pro bono. I mean, it only elevate them higher. Bob Lazar came out and went public and kind of got dragged into it by George Knapp, because now they can't really go after him. And he came out and he put his face out there. But I don't know. It's just I foresee this going on another 5-10 years with here's the new whistleblower of the month with whatever. It's just never ending, and they control the narrative. So the CIA can see this easily, just like at the last hearing. They hijacked that hearing with that UAP gets shot down by a Hellfire missile. And that worked. Hardly anybody talked about those whistleblowers. Everybody's talking about that video. So that video's catnip to the news. They have to play something of interesting on a loop, just like they do with the gimbal. CIA knows that. So we do, let's say, more congressional hearings, 2026, 2027. They just got some video that comes out, and hell, it could be AI. We don't even know if that Hellfire missile was real, because we don't have any metrics on it. You can't see any of the stuff on the screen. It's unverifiable. So they can hijack this. Now with AI, it's real easy. It's frustrating, but we just keep going forward, doing what we're doing, making slow progress.
Has anybody ever approached you, Tom, and said, hey, maybe from the alphabet agencies or some of these side programs or whatever, have they ever approached you saying, hey, why don't you crawl into bed with us? We're going to get a government contract. We're going to get a television show, or we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Make you all sorts of promises because they want your technology. They want your mind to be looking for these UFOs and, just sign this NDA here kind of thing, Tom?
Not signing any NDAs. Why? Nobody pays me. I'm self-funded. I'm paying my retirement fund right now to do this. Right? Me and my friend Dave Mason joke about every few $1,000s we spend on this is money the nursing home isn't going to get. To answer your question, I had a little bit of a mix of that. I've met retired people who say, yeah, I know stuff, or I've worked on stuff. And then I met different people who always promise TV shows and whatnot. But like the divorce rate's 90%, most of the time it falls through. It's very rare stuff just happens. So it's kind of amazing. Just skywatching and just doing what I'm doing just somehow ends up now on Amazon Prime or whoever wants to take this and stream it. But yeah, I would walk away from that. What do they have? They would have to buy. They'd have to buy me out. They'd have to pay me millions of dollars to even sign an NDA. I don't see the point in it. I want to know what these things are. I want to know better what they look like. I want to move ahead. Money doesn't mean anything to people like me. Not in that sense. Because I look at it as I've lived before I got to this body in this container. I have a collective knowledge of, I think, living many, many, many lifetimes. And I'm going to live many lifetimes after this one. And money is kind of stupid in this train of thought, because it doesn't get me where I want to get.
Why the passion then? For people who maybe didn't catch your last interview, why is this subject so important to you to find out what these are all about?
I guess I'm on a mission to figure this out as much as I can. At least I know, when we're younger, we always hear, who are we? Why are we here? What are we doing? Well, I know who I am, Tom King. I know what I'm doing, trying to figure this out, and skywatch and unlock some of these mysteries. And I'm going to keep going until that's the end of this life cell here. And it's time to do it again. I think I volunteered to come here and do this. From another lifetime, I think I volunteered to come here, came here. Now I've got to the point. I've had a couple of experiences with these little gray things. I think they positioned me, moved me around to get where I am right now. This didn't happen by accident. This happened with tinkering by these creatures that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with. I love them in a way, and I hate the lying that they do to us. But that's what I'm set to do. That's my purpose.
I think it's great. It's personal. It's a personal quest. And I think when somebody is on a personal quest, and I'm 52 years old. I'll be 53 this year. And I just learned that personal quest really last year at my area that I've told you about, Flight 21. And, it's funny, Tom, when you get this passionate, it becomes part of your everyday life. Like you live, breathe, drink, sleep, shower in it, and for you, taking it so passionately, putting your heart and soul into this, as we got about a minute to go, Tom. A lot of people would say, Tom, that's so much effort, for barely any answers. So what would be the answer that you need, say, today, tomorrow, maybe a year from now?
These aren't really answers exactly for me. This is answers for the collective of human society, of our knowledge kind of going forward. We all contribute something. Some of us contribute more than others. To me, it's just progress. There isn't exactly a quality of video or a quality of evidence. Like, we got to wheel out an alien. I already seen an alien. I was already in their ship once, or whatever it was. All right. So seeing a dead one would be a little bit depressing. But that's a great question. I really don't have a solid answer for. There is no point at which I stop, because there's always going to be something new to uncover.
Hold that thought, Tom. We're going to go to break. Tom King is our guest, independent researcher into UFOs. If there's tech out there, He's probably bought it or built it. That's what he does. That's his fun, looking for those in the stars. Great start, Tom. You're so easy to talk to.
Well, thanks. Time flies on here.
Oh, yeah. 88 Dragon, how are you? And who else is showing up here? It's Sweet Donna C. Look, it's Sweet Donna C, everybody. Aaron the Tree Guru, how you doing? Amanda, how you doing, gorgeous? Nice to see you. And who's going to join us in Vegas? Merle and I are going to Vegas May 21st to 25th. It's our annual get-together in Vegas. We want to see all of you there. You're all invited. Okay, you can all come. And if you don't, you don't. We're still planning the location, but we want to see who's going to Vegas with us. Philip Jones, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Also, next month, well, not next month, in March, I will be at UFO Con in San Francisco. I believe it's March 20th to 22nd. You can go to caufocon.com, caufocon.com, get your tickets. If you're in the Bay Area or close by and you want to go take a quick hit there, yeah. So let's see you there. Let's see you all there.
Might come up to Vegas.
You should. We're going to make it one day out of it. We're going to go out to Rachel. So
that's where on March 13th, 1998, that's where I was. I was skywatching at Area 51 on the 1-year anniversary to see if anything was going to take off from that place.
And Michael Lestuca, minus 22 feels like minus 29 in Manitoba. I'm in a heat wave right now, guys. Tom, I mean, I know you'll be probably getting down to shorts in my temperature, but it's 33 degrees right now outside the studio, 1 degree Celsius.
I dream of those temperatures. So it's very expensive to have temperatures like that in Phoenix.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's about 70 or so here.
Oh,
and 80 later.
I love it.
I think the guy got raided from Area 51. Wasn't he in Las Vegas? But Chuck Clark got raided, but that was a while ago. Chuck Clark told me he had video of the Aurora landing at Area 51. And that was one of the reasons. Yeah, that was one of the reasons. He said that he wouldn't show it to anybody because it's a national security thing that the country needs. But he said if he sees a flying saucer, a disc take off, he's going to let that film out. But yeah, he's been sitting on that one tape for 30 years where those two guys videotape something right over their car. So that guy, he's old school. When he gives you his word, that's his bond. He doesn't break it.
Man, I would love to see that video.
Yeah, one of the Paul Logan saw it, and he wore a little spy camera, and he videotaped a bootleg of it, and he let out, I think, a couple of pictures. It's not as, in our imagination, it's better than it actually is, because we always think it looks really good, and then you watch it and you go, oh, it's another potato.
Attorney to the EBEs, how are you? Nice to see you. 34 Fahrenheit. That's 34 Fahrenheit is like sweater weather where I am. 90 in sunny Queensland. Oh, man. Am I missing anybody here? I don't think so. No, we're not missing anybody. Andrew Rushton, how are you? Jessica Davenport with the soft J. Nice to see you. And we're caught up.
Dave, wouldn't your cameras freeze up in that minus? I don't think the cameras I have would function.
No, I don't go out, like even standing on my patio sometimes in the middle, like I'll go out after the show or whatever, and sometimes it gets a little cold. It's too cold to stay out there sometimes. But not right now. Now, like I said, I mean, I go out in Crocs, sweatpants, and a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt, right? Hold on right there, Tom. We're coming back. Thank you to Area 54, Karen, JSEO, and Mel for the super chats. Here we go. We are into the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We're going to go looking for some UFOs with Tom King. My name is Dave Scott. We're so glad to have you here, and I hope you're enjoying tonight's show. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Our guest tonight, Tom King. He was here a couple of weeks ago. We're calling this part 2 because he literally is building everything for UFOs. Anything he does, it's about UFOs, and we love him here for being an independent researcher. Tom, thank you for coming on in.
No problem, Dave. Thanks for having me back. It's an honor to be here.
Now, one of the things I want to get to right off the bat, because our YouTube audience, if you're in YouTube or on X watching live, I know you can't do this while you're listening in on terrestrial radio, but you get an opportunity to ask questions to our guest. Now, normally I wait till the second hour, but there were so many questions the last time people had for you. I want them all to start asking questions early for you, because this one really is about the listener tonight, not so much about you and me doing an interview. But for people who may not have heard that first show, for you, it's really about a big start. You've had experiences, but you also witnessed the famous Phoenix Lights. You recorded something there. And it has been an incredible movement and passion since 1997 for you. When you look back on the Phoenix Lights, that whole incident that happened over those few hours, how did it change you as a person, as a scientist, as a technologist?
Well, that the change that it gave me wasn't necessarily good at first. I didn't know it was a big sighting until the next day when I got home from work and my answering machine was full. And then it was, the news started talking about it. And then it's like, my God, what happened last night? The totality of all of it took about a couple of years. I remember I was somewhere with Francis Emma Barwood, and we were sitting, there was a bunch of us witnesses and whatnot, and it was probably at Village Labs. And I told her, if I had a chance to do it again, I wouldn't have recorded anything. And she's like, really? I mean, because I was the only person who said that to her out of all the people she talked to, like 700 people. And she's like, why? You shot video. And I said, because I got put through hell because of that video. I got dragged by local MUFON investigators and just everyone else. I mean, I got criticized for what I said, everything I said in that video. I got criticized for when I went into a wide angle. Why didn't I hold it? Why didn't I stay zoomed in? Everything I did, I was told I did it wrong. So it wasn't a great experience. And at that time, I was really good friends with Tim Edwards, and no one had talked any smack about him and his sighting. And he had a positive experience, and he ended up opening up a restaurant. and things worked out well for him back in the late 90s. But for me, it was fun. It was eye opening. It was a little bit miserable from some of the experiences, but I'm glad I kind of went through it because I became pretty jaded after that. Like, I kind of got to see the inside track of what it was like to be a witness, be an investigator, one of the biggest UFO cases of all time. Yeah, I got to see how television worked from the inside. Wasn't pretty. Got to watch it covered up. I got to watch the incompetence of the government and the Air Force. And it wasn't the best experience in a way, like positive. So I had to make some positivity afterwards. And that's kind of what I turned around later, years and years later. I realized I was lucky. It was kind of a gift what I did. I was at the tip of the spear that night. We're out hunting, and I came in, I videotaped what I was set out to do, and I left and I did the job I intended to. But the negativity came from people, the UFO community wasn't too good. And we see this today. The UFO community can be awful, just awful to people. It brings out the worst. It's, you know how people get when they're behind the wheel and they get road rage, but normally they're a nice person. They could be going to church and they get behind the wheel and they turn into a psychopath all of a sudden. Ufology does that to you when you're not driving. It's crazy. You get behind social media and people turn into monsters.
That is truthful.
But, yeah, so I'm sure the same, you could get the same thing from people who went through Roswell and they saw the cover up and they saw the government lie to them. They saw government come out and tell them, if you ever talk about this, we will put you in the ground in the desert. You will never talk about this again. And this is back, after World War II, when patriotism was at its height in this country, and the witnesses of that probably went through what I did. Probably Betty Cash went through the same thing. You get into one of these big high profile UFO cases, and it's not all that it's kind of cracked up to be. So you gotta become kind of a survivor through that.
We have a couple questions early here, so I'm going to bring them up right now for you. All right, we're going to start off with Marv here. We call him Paramarv. He says, I have a vague recollection of a second Phoenix Lights event about 6 months later, September, October 97, but I can't find anything about it online. Am I mistaken? Is this a Mandela effect?
No, it's not a Mandela effect. I think you're thinking about January 17th, 1998, I think. That was when these lights came back. And to tell you what happened here is those lights came back. All the witnesses that recorded the 10 p.m. event from March 13th also recorded those lights in January 1998, except me. So by then, we all had each other's phone numbers, and nobody called. I didn't get a phone call that they were out. I wouldn't have been able to see them anywhere from my house. But they said my phone was busy, which is likely. So they all filmed those. They came back again the next night, and the news was out there by then, and they had some pretty good cameras, and they zoomed in and said, these are ground illumination flares that came from the Goldwater Range. Except what was going on is these were not over the Goldwater Range. These were over Casa Grande. Back in the day when they were launching these flares, I don't think they had precise instruments in these cockpits flying around at night with the lights off. I think they just kind of winged it and said, yeah, I think we're over the range. It's dark about here, 1, 2, 3. And they just launched them those A-10s, right? And they ended up launching them in places they shouldn't have. And it's very confusing when you're watching this going, okay, this isn't the Goldwater Range. So they ended up taping some military flares, and that was about 9 months later.
So has those same craft come back anytime during the last, it's coming up 29 years here, Tom?
Yeah, as far as craft, the boomerang, yes, that boomerang craft has been around. I don't know exactly if it's been over Phoenix. Now, not in the capacity it was in 97 when it was as low as it was. This object does fly over some cities. Sometimes it flies over at about 10,000 feet. So then you're looking at 5 lights in a little arrowhead formation flying over. You can verify this by just going through the Peter Davenport's National UFO Reporting Center and start looking up boomerang. And there are people on there. Sometimes they will submit drawings if they don't have photographs, and they're drawing the exact same thing, the Phoenix Lights boomerang craft. Now, I believe that craft has been around 60, 70 years at least, if not maybe hundreds or thousands of years. This type of craft was seen during the Hudson Valley sighting, right? It was the object that had trailing light behind it. And that's the dead giveaways, that light that trails behind the group. So we had that. We had the Lubbock's lights, same type of thing. I actually have a video, if we have time later, of the best video I've seen of it, which was filmed in Russia. And they filmed it from 3 different cameras when the thing parked and hovered. So the thing gets around, and if they end up shooting it with a modern iPhone, you get nice black levels, but you're still just going to see some nice little pinholes of light. What you need is you need something like digital binoculars that are 3rd generation to even film the outside of it. So if you don't have thermal, if you don't have night vision that's 2nd or 3rd generation with SD cards in them, we have no chance of recording that thing and seeing the outline of the craft. Now, I do believe that that object in particular has a wingspan of about 900 feet. I've heard mile, 2 miles, and whatnot, but I've kind of settled in at around 700 feet for that craft. But here's the caveat. It can vary because those lights undock. So it can appear as though the object grows bigger and smaller, where the wings can fold back and widen, because the lights themselves undock and change places. So the lights themselves on the boomerang are also little small portable UFOs that plug into the bigger unit. But if it stretches out behind it, like you see on the video from 3/13/97, it looks like it's growing longer. So it's really hard to lock that thing down. But I'm baked in at 700 feet as far as the black Carpenter Square.
Do you think then that maybe those craft have a base somewhere around Arizona? Or do you think they were coming from the sky? Or maybe Area 51? That's not that far away.
Well, that's a good question. Everybody has to go home sometime, right? But that thing's big enough. I guess you could live in it. Now, they did come from the direction of Area 51. On March 12th and March 13th, they came from Nevada. They actually flew over Las Vegas. No one's seen them, right? Or a few people seen them. They reported them to Peter Davenport's website, but they weren't videotaped. It wasn't a mass sighting. It wasn't a mass sighting until they started going down to Arizona, and then everybody started calling those in. As far as where they live, probably underground or in the sea, or maybe even outer space. I think that, these things can not only go from air into the space and into the water, they can go straight into the ground. I mean, we've been watching this on those volcano videos from Mount Bucapateca, that volcano, and it's hard to pronounce, in Mexico. They've been filming UFOs going in and out of that thing with lava coming in and out. If they're going in and out of a volcano, then anything goes.
Living in Volcano Alley here up where I am, and the volcanoes stretch all the way from Alaska and the Yukon Territory right down to Mount Shasta, and they even go a little bit more south down into the Central America. But living in Volcano Alley, it's amazing how many UFOs are seen around, and some people have even reported them flying into that area. Like where I live now, Tom, a million years ago, this was a lava lake. And so a lot of people, like fast forward a million years to today, a lot of people in my community have UFO sightings. There's a lot of UFO sightings around here, not the big craft that you would see like the Phoenix Lights, but there is a lot of craft being seen around the lakes and around, these high potent areas where there has been a lot of volcanic activity over the centuries and millennia. So do you think that there is something about the volcanic run here that they are interested in? Maybe it's the gases from it. Maybe it's the minerals and deposits that have come from it. What do you think?
That's a good question. If they can just, go in and out of the ground, the only thing that, I mean, I'm not a volcanist or a geologist or anything like that, but the only thing that comes to mind is, like you were saying, these volcanoes are ejecting minerals from deep underground that aren't accessible to people, to us, right? So maybe a stream of gold is coming out or something from these volcanoes, and they're harvesting it. I mean, it's hard to wrap your mind around something that supersedes us in intelligence, time. I mean, we just came up as kind of people just a couple of 100 years ago, and before this, we were hunter gatherers for hundreds of thousands of years, just barely getting by until we just exploded in intelligence in the last couple of 100 years. These things have been around since at least we can carve into rock and into dirt and wood. As soon as mankind was able to document these things, we started cutting these things into stone and into paintings. And some of our most historical things we have in history usually include a little bit of something that's in the sky too. It shouldn't be there.
Do you think then, if people say where I am in British Columbia or where you are in Phoenix or wherever people are seeing UFOs, do you think then we should be seeing more than what we are seeing if they're truly here?
Well, that's a good question. I've been going through up and down periods myself, and I've filmed these things at least 100 times. I kind of go through waves of them. I can't really speak as to more because I don't know what the norm is for other people out there, like filming them, because most people aren't filming them, first of all, or studying them to the extreme. So that's a good question. I don't have a good answer for that, Dave. They do operate though, where whatever these things are can operate in the open for some reason. There's a certain agreement with them and the government that this has to stay pretty much on the down low, and I think it's for them, right? Because they don't care about us. We could destroy ourselves again as a species, and they would just document it, just write it down. Hey, humans blew themselves up again. Let's see what they do in another million years, right? And the only thing they seem to care about are these nukes. Like, we can blow ourselves up with conventional weapons, but they don't want us using nukes because I think it screws on the other side where they're hiding. So whatever the secrecy is, if they were to come out into open society, our civilization would collapse pretty quick because the veneer of our society is just barely getting along economically. Something like this. They just talked about the Bank of England was talking about, what would we do if aliens came out and it screw up the money? I'm like, oh, great. There's another reason for them to cover it up. Now the banks are talking about it. How would the banks be talking about this if there was no there? If the banks are talking about, alien revelations coming out, there has to be something to this. They're not talking about what happens if the Loch Ness Monster is real. What happens if Bigfoot comes out with a monetary society? But UFOs would. So there's something about, I don't think they care about us. I think the reason they need to stay secret is because everybody's in it for themselves. Every organism is in there for its own self-preservation and survival. And I think that's the reason for the secrecy. It's because if they come out, maybe we have some cards in our pockets we don't know about that we could do something back.
Do you think then, if this is such a selfish field, wanting the technology, wanting to know where these are coming from, maybe it's time travel or interdimensional type travel, do you think with 4 minutes to go before we go to break that this is technology that we are currently possessing or that we want to possess?
I think we currently possess it, and we're trying to figure out how to use it. If a UFO were to crash, the first thing you're going to want to do is to get inside, turn the engine off, and secure all the loose greeblies around the craft. Any weapons, any medical things, anything that's laying around, anything in the field that might have crashed and blew out. So whoever gets there first could get their hands on any type of weapons or any type of alien tech. Now, whether it's usable to us, that's another thing. Maybe they're smart enough that these things are basically bricked unless they're neurologically linked to the life form.
I often wonder where it is then, because I don't believe it's at Area 51. I believe it's out there somewhere. I don't think it's been decompartmentalized yet. I'm sure there is some secret island in the Pacific or the Atlantic somewhere that they have much of this stuff hidden, so that way people and or satellites don't know where it is. Where do you think potentially all of this could be hidden?
In our big cities, right under our nose. I think I think that these things are basically in cement tilt-up buildings that are under control from Lockheed Martin. We have them all over Phoenix, and they're all over Las Vegas. They're probably Palmdale, Las Vegas, Wright-Patterson, White Sands, New Mexico, Phoenix, Arizona, and all the way in LA, right under the population of all those people. They have these craft there. The U.S. probably has hundreds and hundreds of these craft. Now, keep in mind, we steal everybody's stuff. So if it doesn't crash in the United States, we're taking it anyway. If it goes anywhere in South America, CIA is going to get it.
Very true. Very true. They're going to get it. You know, they don't care whose soil it's on. They've got them from Mexico. They've got them from Canada. They've got them from Brazil. I mean, South and North America are locked up for the United States government. And never mind, maybe even the Middle East, where they've found things.
Yeah, I would think whoever gets there first, and if China or Russia finds one, and they're after it too, they're going to get in a little shootout match. Who's going to take possession of these? Because God knows what is inside them. They could have a lot of goodies in there, a lot of loose weapons. I mean, I would be thinking that these creatures, if they do land, they don't come out, unarmed. They come out with some type of protection because we are extremely dangerous to them. So they're going to have something to neutralize us. They're going to want to get their hands on it. And then they're talking about possible weapons like this that might have been used in Venezuela, if that's true. The discombobulator or some type of advanced weapons. I wouldn't be surprised if Navy SEALs aren't using anything that they could maybe have unlocked.
So if we look at all the different storage places that there could be, okay, it makes you wonder, have they been able to break pieces off, maybe send something to 29 Palms in California? Well, some of it goes out to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and another section goes out to Dugway in Utah. Do you think that's how they're doing it?
Something along those lines. The leaked Bass documents that came out from Bigelow, it was like these PDF files that were like 450 pages, documented everything he needed to do to take possession of one of these, about how he would get a secure location in North Las Vegas, the security requirements that would be required to lock this up. Bigelow was in the process of becoming a company just like Lockheed, just like Northrop, that would get delivery upon crashed retrieval things to study for himself and probably use and integrate into his own business if he could figure it out. So his leaked documents from Bass are pretty much a roadmap of what it's like inside of a military industrial complex contractor, of what the requirements are from the government to even get possession.
Tom King, we got him for another hour on Spaced Out Radio. We'll take other questions from the audience. This is the mighty SOR. Stay tuned. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Tom, we are clear. I'm going to put you in the green room for about 5 minutes. Then we'll bring you back, okay?
Right on.
All right. We're going to go to break, everybody. And there's my schedule. Yeah, now you know where you can find me over the next little bit. Be right back. All right. Now that you've all done your homework on my schedule, love to see you there. Let's get some questions for Tom coming in. Let's bring Tom back in. There he is. Mr. Cowley, how you doing? And who else do we have here? Let's jumped on in here. Flat 6, nice to see you. All right. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. We try to get 100 or more every show because it helps with our algorithms. If you don't mind, we'd greatly appreciate it if you haven't taken the time. And even if you don't like tonight's show, give us a thumbs up anyways, because you just like being here and talking with the people. We'd love it. Our super chatters tonight are Sweet Donna C, Area 54, Karen in the Woo Train, JSCO, and Mel WD40 with a special lube chat. We'd greatly appreciate it. And we appreciate your love. You can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store by going to our website, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. And, of course, Caribou Con is coming up in September. I'd love to see you all there. This is a Spaced Out Radio event, and I'd love to introduce you to my community. Go to cariboocon.com. That's CARIBOO con.com. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quarion. Quarion is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in our guest, Tom King. He is an independent researcher. He is a technologist. This guy is brilliant when it comes to searching for UFOs and building the technology that's out there to find them. And Tom, thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate you.
Thanks, Dave. Let's get back into this great conversation.
Well, let's start off with a question from our audience. This one is about your thoughts about the New Jersey drone situation.
Now, there's another kind of lesson, much like the Phoenix Lights. Like what we learned from that should go forward into another major mass sighting. And New Jersey drones started out really interesting, and then it devolved into what to me looks like mass delusion of everybody trying to jump in on it. People who weren't into UFOs at all, I guess they stopped watching whatever they were watching on television, went outside and said, "Oh yeah, there's a drone," filmed it with their phone. And it's like, no, that's an airplane coming in for a landing. And then we started just seeing delusion after delusion after delusion. It fed the debunkers, and they said, well, see, there are no drones. Nothing's going on here. But there was, because they shut down airports. Langley had incursion night after night after night. They had military bases. Something was going on. We had police helicopters that weren't able to chase these things down. They weren't able to be tracked. Very, very bizarre case. And then it happened overseas. It didn't just start with New Jersey. This probing type of thing has been going on for a long time. But New Jersey is when it came to a head. Okay, that's when it just kind of got out of control. This started probably before I have a full understanding. We had the police helicopter in Tucson got its butt kicked by a drone that literally flew circles over the police helicopter. You can see it on their radar that they released. This drone, that's what they're calling it, UAS, flew over a mountain that's 13,500 feet. What drone can do that? What quadcopter? Then for a couple nights, showed up over Palo Verde Nuclear Power Plant, which is over on the west side of Arizona. Then we had a whole bunch of times over in Nebraska. We had a bunch of law enforcement where around 2000 where they were chasing these drones down. Then Jeremy Corbell was reporting that something is harassing our U.S. Navy ships off the coast. We had the Tedesco brothers, very little known reported, in 2000 filmed about 50 of these things coming out of the water, just like we saw in New Jersey. So then this New Jersey thing happens. By then, there was a history of stuff like this going on. We had the Heathrow Airport in the UK. This was shut down repeatedly before the New Jersey drones. And over 250,000 people were affected by flights delayed. They ended up later, they brought in the best of the best, people from Israel, to take these things down. I remember seeing state-of-the-art thermal stuff. They had helicopters to take these drone menace down. They arrested a husband and wife and said they're responsible for it. Then they said, oh, well, they didn't have a drone. And then later they said there were no drones. So the whole thing is just nuts. But the thing with New Jersey was peak drone for as far as we've had. I just gave you kind of the backstory before that. So it didn't start with New Jersey, but it bubbled up to the top. And then it turned into mass delusion. And I expect the gears of this will keep turning. We're not done with whatever these UAS harassment objects are. Like the expert here is like Lou Elizondo. These things are probing our defenses to see how we react. That's what I think of the New Jersey drone situation. Is kind of ongoing worldwide.
I had sources tell me that it was something different, that the New Jersey drones, especially. I'm not going to speak about the other ones, but in New Jersey, that it had to do with the idea that there was potentially parts of a dirty bomb coming in. And it was right around election time. And then, of course, going into inauguration time. So there was some concern, apparently. And the reason why the drones went up at night was because during the day they could not detect the radiation because of the sun's radiation that would be coming down and messing with the radiation detectors. So they went in and did it at night. And that's kind of what I was told about this from a couple of insiders. Your thoughts?
If I were to loop back to a podcast I did back when this was starting, that's what I thought too. I thought it was they're looking for a radiological bomb or possibly a suitcase nuke that was put on the East Coast of blackmails. As far as a probing type thing goes, what they did, the timing of this was absolutely perfect from a weakness of the United States, because then we were changing over, right, into a new administration. So what are you going to do? Is the outgoing administration going to start a lot of crap, with just a few weeks in office? No. So during that transition, whoever it was kind of tested us and found out, yeah, it's a good weakness, because what are we going to do? People were saying, well, shoot them down, right? And I don't like knee-jerk stuff like that. Let's be calm and think this through. We are not going to turn these very populated East Coast cities into war zones and just start shooting up flak and, automatic weapon fire, because it's going to come down and it's going to do more damage than anything. So cooler heads thankfully prevailed through that, but it definitely did seem like whatever that was tested us almost to the very limits of what our response is. And the United States was again, we can't really turn our seas into a war zone. we couldn't, shoot them down. We couldn't launch an F-15s, F-18s can't catch these things. We don't have a Cobra Comanche attack helicopters that can get this. It just boggles the mind. Nothing. There's like no logical path I can think this through where it goes, oh, okay, it makes sense. It was this. Even dirty bomb.
Let's get to a question from our audience here. Matthew is asking, Tom, what do you think about Vermont having a bill to start a state task force and New Jersey giving grants to universities to study UFOs?
Man, I'm all for it. We need to start conditioning people to think outside the box like this. That I would rather have something like this than for our taxpayer money be wasted on SETI and these lunatics listening to static from dead stars that exploded billions of years ago, thinking, well, everyone uses AM radio throughout the universe or something, so let's just tune into that. The whole thing of wasting money looking for alien life, they won't look for it here. If you say, let's look for intelligent life here, oh, that's too close. We need to look for it real far away. So I'm all for anything that's going to open people's minds to start studying these UFOs on this planet and in our time now, not dead aliens and not microbes. We've had enough of that, and it really hasn't gotten us anywhere, has it?
Well, let me tell you this. I am concerned. I love the fact that these states like New Jersey and Vermont are going to be putting funding into it. I think it's that important that we do that. But I do have questions about it, namely the university professors who are going to be running it. What do they know about the history? What do they know about the subject? Now, it's different in New Jersey, where Kevin Knuth and Matthew Sudeikis are going to be running that program. They are well established in the UFO field as researchers for a long time, and I trust that one. But as this starts to spread out and go to more universities, I just don't want to see it become another basket weaving type course, because there is seriousness in the science, but also in the history of everything too. And if we're just looking at this, and I guess where my concern comes from is uapology is different than ufology. Okay, ufology is predated 2017. UAP/uapology is 2017 and into today's times. And the big difference between that is the uapologists only really recognize, outside of Roswell, they only really recognize the 2004 USS Nimitz incident off the coast because there was videos with that. And they are sitting there looking at this saying, we need to find out what these are. And it's all about technology. It's not about potential alien contact. It's not about where these craft are coming from. It's about propulsion systems, anti-gravitics, everything that is a sexy term today as people focus on climate change and free energy and everything that goes along with it. So I often worry about where the message is going to be going, because number one, are these professors who are going to be teaching this educated enough in the story of UFOs and the history and all the broadbands that go with it? Or are we going to be like certain universities where they are preparing scientists and mathematicians to become spooks for the CIA, the NSA, the NRO? And that's where this is going to take it, is more down a governmental cover-up road.
Well, these are great discussion. We really won't know until we actually go down that road as a society. And then we're going to have to see what is the curriculum. And you're right, professors and everybody has their own bias and our own kind of agenda. But I like to stay positive that we could correct anything that goes hopefully too off course. If they did this in the spirit of, say, research like Richard Dolan, like Stanton Friedman.
Yes.
And along these lines of classical ufology, right? And not the Stephen Greer line, right? Where it's going to be hijacked, where it's about a personality instead of the facts. As a community, hopefully something like that would be a good step forward. And yes, it's every ufology gets sidetracked and whatnot, but we should be able to fix that. The newer generations should have something like that. But then again, yeah, would we have a bachelor's degree in ufology? What jobs are there? Who knows if there's even going to be jobs for anybody in 30 years the way things are going. But hey, it's a start. I mean, look how many worthless degrees people get that there's no jobs for at all. There's just no jobs in a lot of fields. So might as well throw ufology in there. As long as, you come out somewhat educated. We have a big problem with ignorance worldwide, of just people just not knowing anything, people being proud of being stupid. People, thinking that if you read books, there's something wrong with you. If you know facts that are outside of baseball or sports, then you're weird. We need to turn that around. We need to de-stupefy our planet and get off the idiocracy treadmill and get a little bit more educated and be proud to be smart instead of proud to be stupid.
And those are very good points that you're making. Very good points indeed. I wonder, though, what would you call the curriculum? See, the one thing that we don't understand in this community is there are a lot of scientists and historians that are part of the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies, better known as the SCU, okay, that are looking into this. And the SCU holds conferences every year, and they're going to be doing one in Toronto this year in order to kind of do their education and speakers about this subject of UFOs. So there are many scientists and university professors who are already looking into this subject, and we know that's happening. However, I guess where I get a little impassioned about it is I'm not a scientist. I don't understand science. I could never, ever have my brain plug into yours and have you, Tom, download your knowledge into me. It would be like me trying to speak Arabic. Lovely language, but I just don't understand it. Wouldn't know how to get there. Can't compute it. Okay. So I'm wondering, how that would kind of move the ball forward, because the people that I encounter, they are the people who have had UFO sightings and close encounters. They are people who have been abducted. They are people who have been maybe abducted for years and have strange marks on their bodies, or visitations from alien grays weekly in their bedroom. And they're not crazy. They're not psychotic. They're not anything. I mean, I know you're understanding the language that I'm getting at here, but I come from ufology in such a different way, and such an undertapped way by mainstream science in this, that I really feel that going into these universities, it may lose the message that there is more to it than just the technology.
Absolutely. Somebody should pick up the work that Dr. John Mack left behind, and Bud Hopkins, with experiencers. And I'm one of them, and a lot of people watching are too. We didn't all just make this up and come and all just dream up the grays out of nowhere, right? How come it's them? How come it's always the same type of beings? How come the things are there? So experiencers is just one avenue. Then you have the science of it. That's a whole nother thing. Then you have the government's covering this up. So they have the keys to a lot of this stuff. Then we have another problem with science itself, right? We have these people, we have a weird thing going on right now with, people chasing and burning all this money to get to AI, is much like our scientists spending all their time on weird stuff like dark matter and string theory and wormholes. And string theory is simply made up by Michio Kaku, right? That's his pet project. But he made it up, and it's a household word. Why? Dave, did you get to make anything up? I get to make anything up from our imagination. That's a household word. Look at how they can just dream up something and then wish it to become real somehow. So they're chasing these like phantom science and stuff. These guys need to get more on like the Kevin Knuth train and say, hey, why don't we study these videos? Why don't we study the shuttle stuff? Why don't we study the stuff that NASA and the military's already collected instead of going after dark matter and quarks and all this fantastical science that is astrophysics is based out of a lot of hypotheses that they pass along as fact. Like I3 Atlas, right? We just had this thing go through our solar system and they can't confirm or deny what it was, right? That whole thing's classified. So there's something that happened with this, because I think if this was just a rock, which behaved real weird, they would just show us all these good pictures. Instead, we got blurry potato pictures from NASA. We got really good pictures from people in their backyard. So we still got a lot of things to iron out, but nothing's ever going to be a perfect situation going forward. There's always going to be little things to fix and tweak.
We got 3 minutes to go. Let's sneak Jules' question in here. And that is, it's not always grays, Tom. Some of us have seen beings that aren't grays in craft. You don't think only grays have craft, do you?
I don't even know if they need craft. Some of the stuff we see in film, like orbs, there's no one in that. So the things that I experience that I'm talking about are the grays and the little 3-foot brown. I think they were brown that were with them. Now, yeah, there's also the Mothman type of things, praying mantises, shapeshifter type things. But overall, the close encounters of the third type of being is the predominant one in the species. But we're not talking fairies. We're not talking, sea dragons and things from the 1800s anymore. It's always these same things. They have almost the same MO.
Definitely. And I think, there, you can only go with what you're experienced. I know other people have experienced things that I've never seen with, let's say, mantid beings or reptilians. I've never had those encounters, but I could tell you I've seen 5 different types of grays. From the small ones to the big ones to the thin-headed ones to the big-headed ones. It's kind of creepy what they look like. And I do believe there are different species of them. What do you think?
There's got to be something out there. There's even the humanoid type ones that people talk about that look like us. They might even have DNA that's pretty close to the point. If one of them were to go get their blood drawn, it wouldn't stand out. It would mix right in. So there's probably a plethora of different ones, but there's the common denominator is definitely the grays, whether they're actually a life form or 3D printed construct. That's like AI. We don't know, but probably in 100 or 200 years, we'll be able to make something like this. That's, transhumanoid, where our personalities will go into them. I think probably Gen Z and maybe even my generation will be the last people that actually physically die. And then going forward, people will put not exactly their consciousness, but the summation of what they were into some type of robot that's walking around or if we can already clone our voices, almost our essence, our walk, our gait. If you know a lot about us, you can do a digital version of this. We see this with the billionaires who don't want to die and they want to live forever with these billions. They want to spend their billions and live forever. And humanity be along for that ride. And as we get better tech, we will 3D print, instead of having robot bodies that have our essence, we'll have almost an exact replica that was made from your DNA. So
Tom
the
King, we
great,
got till the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Tom, we're clear. Excuse me.
my wife and I were talking about the Greys last night, and I've never really had telepathy with these things, but other people have. And I was thinking, if we could have telepathy, then we are telepathic to be able to do it. We just can't initiate the telepathy.
Right.
So maybe that's a technological breakthrough that they have. And telepathy may not be mind to mind. It could be sound vibrations that you know how these are vibrating in your ear?
Yes.
Well, they could project, maybe there's technology that can project the sound out that resonates in your cochlea, and it vibrates, and you think it's in your head, and it's mind to mind, but simply projecting sound waves to another person's skull. You ever think of that?
I have not, man.
That's the type of problems I figure out and try and solve.
Interesting things. I don't know if I got the brain power to do it tonight, Tommy. So please forgive me with that. All right. Any other questions for Tom tonight? Hey, Woo Poo, how are you? Make sure you put the big capital letters if you don't mind, peeps. I'd appreciate that.
There's a India casino last week decided to shoot a laser up into space, and they're doing it every night. Much like in Las Vegas, you have the Luxor. We have now, and I can see it on my camera, is up over 30 or 40,000 feet, maybe even into the International Space Station could see this.
Oh, wow.
You don't really see this when the sky's real clear. You can't see it at night, but when the clouds come in, when we get some clouds, then, it's kind of like a laser. You don't really see it until you blow cigarette smoke into it or something like that, and it really shines. So I get people email me, what is this tube of light over there? I'm like, I figured it out. It's a laser coming off an Indian casino, and it has to use a lot of electricity to do that. I don't even know if it's legal, right? What can we do? Can we go to the U.S. government? Hey, you can't shine those lasers. We're an Indian reservation. We can do what we want. It's an interesting situation we have.
It is kind of incredible, my man. It really is kind of incredible.
Well, they had some really powerful ones on Skinwalker Ranch, and these things are like that, but they're every night, and so it's pretty cool, actually. I mean, let's start turning our towns, instead of using electricity on dumb stuff, shine some lasers up there. I got my radar camera over there watching it, and I'm watching to see if maybe this attracts UFOs to say, hey, what's going on with this, 10,000 gigawatt laser shining up. And this thing's so powerful, like if a plane goes through it, would it burn the wing off? Who knows?
I don't know if they want to take that chance.
Well, I'm telling you, if you fly into Phoenix, you are going to see this laser when you're doing your circle to land here. You're going to look out the window and go, wow, look at that purple laser.
We got about a minute to go, Tom.
All right. I got a video or two queued up if you want to do anything, or we can go with questions. It's up to you.
I think we're going to go with audience questions here. No offense.
All right. That's fine. That's fine. You can't hear video on the radio anyway.
All right, about 30 seconds. Thank you to Sweet Donna C, Karen in the Woo Train Area 54, JSCO, and Mel WD40 for the super chats. We greatly appreciate your great love and support of this show. We also want you to do a little shopping because you want to look good going into spring. So go to our Spaced Out Radio website, click on shop. We have right there for you all of our great gear. No ugly swag. You can wear our clothing in public and actually be proud of it. So let's get it going here, everyone. We are into the second half of Spaced Out Radio, still talking UFOs with our guest, Tom King. My name is Dave Scott. I wear a lot of tinfoil, just sometimes in places you may not see it out in front. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Check out our store and our website. There's nothing ugly there. And you can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tom King is here till the top of the hour. We're glad to have him, and thank you for joining us. We got some audience questions for you, Tom, in regards to UFOs, aliens. You ready for them?
Yes. Let's hear.
All right. How about this one from Uncle Rebus? Tom, do grays have 3 toes like reptilians because they are spying for the U.S. military?
I don't know. I've never seen their feet. Just kind of like a lot of dreams where you don't seem to see people's feet. The one I saw that came at me hopped at me like a bunny rabbit. It came out, froze, looked at, this ain't happening. Now, how do you think? And I tried to run, got out of bed, froze me, it hopped at me like a bunny rabbit. So I didn't get to see his hands. So I imagine if you got, 3 fingers, you got 3 toes, right? Because who's going to have, 5 fingers and 3 toes? Everything seems to balance out like that. But yeah, that'd be pretty freaky. I think George Knapp had some photos from Russia of the Russian files where there was a three-toed something that had walked across the floor of a Russian facility, but I'm not exactly sure on that.
All right,
let's move on to another question on that. Yes.
Let's move on to another question. But before we do, I think with the reptilians, I've never had any experiences with them outside of seeing eyes while doing the Estes method. But you're right, Tom. You rarely see the feet of these things. Some people will see the hands, but you rarely see the feet, which is kind of weird when you think about it. It is odd. All right. Our next question comes to attorney here to the EBEs. Tom, since legislation has failed 3 times, where do you think we should go?
Good question. I think they're probably talking about the UAP amendment. I would keep pushing it, but I would talk with, it depends. There's always these guys named Mike that seem to shoot it down. I would try to maybe say, is there some language in the upcoming bill, if they're going to put it back in, that would pass if we take it out? Some of the problems with that were eminent domain. I remember Travis Taylor having a problem with that, saying, hey, if you own a piece of property and you dig something out of the ground and that thing has been in there, a long time, and it's not from here, it's not exactly right. The federal government says, I'll take that, just like they do gold off, when you find some gold, the government sometimes will come and seize it. So it could be things like that. The eminent domain type of seizure might need to come out. I think they might have been talking about stripping that out of the last bill, but I would keep going. There's a lot of stuff that rules are forced upon us because they didn't pass the first time. Like motorcycle helmets, seatbelt belt laws. These things were going to be forced upon society, whether we liked it or not. And if it didn't pass the first time, they just kept going and going and going until it passes. So we should at least try that. I don't think it's going to force the executive to sign over, because ultimately this always comes up to executive branch power from the POTUS. If they want to, they can, let this all slip, but they don't. So I don't know if legislation would help or not, but it's worth trying.
I often wonder whether or not they're getting sick and tired of it. And I still think the main reason why we're not seeing any movement on it is because they don't want disclosure to happen. The military industrial complex is anti-disclosure, because if they have to give it up, even if it is a controlled disclosure, soft disclosure, whatever you want to choose it. And I think in the end, it's going to almost force a catastrophic disclosure where everything just has to come out. Because Tom, everybody's disclosure of this subject is different. My disclosure is I want to know what's in the Pandora's box sitting in the Pentagon. That includes the truth about people like Bob Lazar or David Adair, the truth about did Eisenhower meet with aliens and trade humans for technology. All of these questions would need to be cleared for true disclosure. It's not about just saying they're here, they're up in the stars, they're watching us, and we've seen their craft around here. It's way more deeper than that. And I think there's so many secrets outside of the technology that are much more fearful than whether or not there's a UFO sitting at Area 51. Imagine if the government knew who was getting abducted. What if they came out and said MK Ultra, when it came to, or my labs, pardon me, were real, where they were sending reptilians in to scare people? What if that's true? I mean, those are the scary secrets. Having a craft isn't scary. What's scary is, what do they know that they're not going to say? Your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, these things aren't here to help us. Some of them are probably bad. So there's been some crashes that I heard that had, everyone died, first of all. But there were humans in there and they died, and they didn't die from the crash. They were mutilated ahead of time. So not only were they probably cutting cows apart, they were cutting people up too. I mean, we're nothing to them, just like, we're livestock to a certain degree. So, but would the billionaires allow this? I mean, we're at the point now where all of our television and social media and everything is just controlled by a few people. So they like their way of life and they want to keep it that way. And with this coming out would be total disruption of our whole monetary system. Forget religion. Religion is not exactly the glue that keeps the economy running. It's money. And they want to keep that way of life of becoming a billionaire. And anything that this is a big threat, right? UFOs coming out, energy systems and whatnot, just governments just corrupt to the core, just keeping this secret so we can all be wage slaves to these people for the rest of our life and our kids' life. They want to keep us all wage slaves forever. So to unlock it from them is almost like a whole nother stranglehold, different than the military industrial complex, because this has to be allowed to be said on their social network platforms. Because look at how YouTube, for 4 years ago, you had to be very careful about what you said, or they deplatformed you. And it could go from what you couldn't talk about 4 years ago, and you still got to be careful, could just switch right over to UFOs. Oh, don't talk about UFOs? We'll just turn off your YouTube channels.
And it is getting that way. I have talked to a number of hosts, well over a dozen hosts, that have YouTube channels on UFOs and cryptids. All of their numbers are dropping in viewership. The entire field seems to be what we call shadow banned on YouTube, except for the select few that just happen to do big production type shows regarding this subject.
Yes, yes. There's a few people who were born with 1 million subscribers, if you know what I mean. They did not work their way up from the bottom. They started by saying, let's do Taylor Swift first, or let's do an A-lister on my channel to start with, and then hey, I'll just take over ufology now. Is this controlled opposition that's allowed by these big channels saying, hey, we'll let some of the people in here, but just the ones that we will control the subject matter with. We'll let them put the phonies up at the top. Because I sit around, with other people doing research, and we're just dumbfounded that if you're nuts and you just make up stuff, they'll platform you at the highest levels. I mean, if you can just pitch crap as fast as Stephen Greer of BS, man, they'll put mics in front of your faces. If you're doing boring science, or they want to hear about that, you'll get shadow banned. So, yeah, in a way, they are already doing that, aren't they, Dave?
They are. They are. I mean, I'll take somebody whom I respect, Chris Ramsey, good Canadian kid out of Montreal. He had 7 million subscribers from doing magic and card tricks on his and puzzles on his YouTube channel. And for about 3 years, he slowly started morphing his audience towards more UFO topics on his channel and on X and other platforms, to the point now where he's making incredible videos that he calls Area 52 on his channel, where he's getting hundreds of thousands of views a video on this. Like, he's flying guests into Montreal, filming them, and then doing the full edit and then making a great production out of it. And he's getting great reviews on him, and good on him. It looks fantastic. Okay, it really does. But there's a guy, once again, prior to coming in, 7 million subscribers. When you have that much influence, it's easy to move people over. When YouTube starts seeing videos not getting 1,000 views, but 500,000 views, they pay attention to that channel, and they shift the algorithms to that type of channel. Right?
Yeah.
At least that's what I think. I could be wrong, but knowing that, whether it's Martin Willis with podcast UFO, whether it's us, whether it's other channels who I've talked to about this, there is a real issue with all of our numbers going down big time.
I did a test on my channel, and I posted something mundane, and I noticed it did 10 times more than any UFO content I'll ever put out. And it was just regular non-UFO content, and it was pushed at people. And I'm like, there's 700 people in the last hour looking at this. There's not even 700 of these in existence, right? Of the item I put out. So this is like everybody who owns one of these is looking at this at 10:30 in the morning on Saturday. No, they took that and they pushed it. But you put UFO content out there, it will not be pushed out. It will not be randomly come up on people's streams and their phones. It'll be buried dead. And the only people who are going to watch it, people who type in the exact search phrase or they're subscribed to your channel. Otherwise, it's never popping up into a feed because it's been shadow banned, except for, like you said, just key people for one reason or another.
You got that right. Let's get to another question from our audience here. Let's go with Uncle Remus. Tom, ever heard of aliens being spies for the U.S. military?
Aliens?
I don't think I have heard of them being spies.
Or the military's being spies for the aliens?
No, are the aliens being spies for the military?
I don't think so. I don't know how that would work. Why would they work for the military if they look at it this way? Let's go back to the Nimitz case. When they got within the presence of that Tic Tac, it knew everything. It knew their cap point. it seemed to counter Commander Fravor's moves, right? So
Yes.
these things seem to know, they seem to have this godlike presence that anything within like a 5-mile radius of these things, we own it all. We know your technology. We can disassemble it, shut it down, kill your electronics, drain your batteries, fragment your cards. And we know one step ahead of you. So why would they want to do anything for the military who's 3 steps behind them? So I just think the military doesn't have anything to offer them they can't already get for themselves.
Another question for you, Tom. This one from Jules. If they have more UFO hearings in Congress, who would you call to testify? And what would you ask?
God, that's a great question because it'd be more than one person. It'd be a toss-up. Let's see. Be Bob Lazar's name would be there. And then you'd have James Lukaski there. You would have Hal Puthoff there. You have Eric Davis. All these guys using their NDAs as bulletproof truth shields. I'd call them all up. I'd subpoena all of them and say, look, you're going to testify. We ain't using no skiff. We turned the televisions off, but you're going to spill your beans here and now. And I don't even know why these guys are taking this to their grave and they don't have dead man switches or videotapes that are going to drop. I mean, I'm sorry, but when you get 80 years old, you could die at any minute, like any minute, right? You're not guaranteed another tomorrow. And why they go on podcasts and say, I still can't tell you. It's like, dude, spill it. You're going to be dead probably within 10 years or so. You're going to be lucky to hit 90. And then by then you lose all of your faculties and whatnot. Just spill it. Nothing's going to happen. So there'd be a whole list of people I would call. All these people doing podcasts that haven't been in front of Congress, I'd drag them in front of Congress first.
I think what they have to do is make the congressional hearings mandatory to attend. Chris Mellon needs to be spoken to. Like you said, Hal Puthoff, Jim Semivan, Robert Bigelow needs to be brought forward. Okay. I don't know about if I personally would bring in James Lukatsky or Timothy Phillips or anybody like that, try and get away from that government protocol. But these guys have been, John Alexander, while he's still alive, he's 91 years old or 90 years old. Where's he? Why aren't we talking to him? Right? Let's get to some of these people, put them on the stand and make them answer questions outside of that bloody skiff. Right? So I have a long list too. Let's go to necessary dialogue because we got 6 minutes and a couple more questions. Do you think that non-human intelligence have anything to do with the Bible?
Absolutely. I think they have a lot to do with a lot of our religions. These things easily predate the Bible. That's for sure. Again, we don't have evidence of that, but we have circumstantial evidence of all the things that going back through time. We have the Egyptian pyramids predate the Bible, and there's a helicopter, a tank, and a blimp etched into the stone of those pyramids. So how would they not have something to do with the Bible? They would be fools if they didn't have some instrumental things. Now, to say, was Jesus an alien? Well, yeah, he wasn't from Earth, right? Because I believe he was a real person. But was it from ETs? I don't know, but I think they definitely had influence on some of this. That's what I would do if I were in their shoes. You would absolutely say you're going to have a little bit of a hand here because these people, need some rules. They need some regulations, and they just can't come up with them themselves. Will come up with them for them.
I think that, in my opinion on this, I think that's one of the things that scares them about disclosure is that it is going to open up a whole different interpretation of what the Bible may be. And I think one of the things that scares them being government officials or military officials, is I think maybe it's not the Bible, maybe it's another religious text, but there's going to be something that becomes very highly accurate in that, right? So that's just my thoughts of it all, but I could be wrong. But it's an easy way to scare society because whether you like it or not, and I'll go down this road of controversy, religion controls a lot of people on this planet. Even though North America is turning more and more non-religious every day, there are still more than half of this world's population that pray to some deity. And as long as that is continuing on, that means there's probably something out there. And if it does come down to aliens being aliens or religious deities or whatever, it's going to mess things up. It's going to throw everything out of whack. That's just my thoughts on it. But
Well, I don't know if religion would do anything as far as going totally out of whack. It would just be, you can call them demons. People can call them demons or angels. I just think we would just deconstruct ourselves. Everything with that, humanity has built itself up to get to where we are right now would just crumble so fast. It'd be shocking. We're just turning on the news right now and just trying to maintain, right? We don't have aliens out there, right? And we're looking at just crazy stuff on the news. And it's like, if we introduced aliens into this, we'd be in deep, deep trouble.
Indeed, we would. 3 minutes to go. Let's get to our final question of the night from our audience. This one goes back to attorney. Yeah, this is pretty much the same thing. He wants Robert Bigelow, to testify on this. Let's play with this for a minute. What do you think Robert Bigelow would bring or could bring to the hearings?
Well, he's already said in 60 Minutes that he absolutely 100% believes that aliens are real. Perhaps maybe a step beyond Bigelow, the CEOs of Lockheed Martin, Northrop, Skunk Works, Raytheon, Boeing, all these defense contractors, Battelle, a whole bunch of them people don't even know. Those people need to testify under oath too.
What about Steve Bigelow? Justice? Steve Justice used to be the second in command at Lockheed Skunk Works. Then he left them to join the Stars Academy. Now apparently he's gone back. Why would you leave to join a UFO entertainment group? Let's talk about that. That would be perfect for the hearings.
Yeah, well, wouldn't it almost seems like just to spy on that group to see, did they have a different piece of the puzzle? Because keep in mind, Lockheed wouldn't have everything. All these different defense contractors might have different parts and pieces, but they won't know as a whole. Yeah, let's say it's NHI, but they wouldn't know, like, what do the other guys have? One of the problems we have, Dave, is we have a fragmented military-industrial complex. In China and Russia, they all work directly for the state. So if they had fragmented parts around Chinese military-industrial complexes, when one makes an advancement, all China does. But when it happens in the United States, when Lockheed makes an advancement, just Lockheed does. Northrop don't. So that's why, in the long run, they're going to eventually crack whatever these technology is, and ours is going to be siloed off of defense contractors that won't share any of the stuff. They're just going to patent it.
It is that time of the night where we have to start winding things down with you, Tom. And once again, this was just a spectacular interview with you. And I'm so appreciative that you took the time twice in the last couple of weeks to spend with our audience. Where can people find your work?
One place is on Amazon Prime. Type in Skywatch in the search, and the first of at least a 6-part series of us doing Skywatches around Arizona hotspots is coming out. And I have Tom King 4K Skywatching podcast on Fridays, where we go over tech and we talk gear and look at the newest footage. And you can find me Skywatching all over Arizona. Just tune in and come out and hang out with us, and maybe you'll see a UFO with us.
I love it, my friend. I love it. Thank you so much, Tom. You're one of the good guys out there, and we will talk to you next time. Tom King, everybody. Coming up next in hour 3, Swamp Dweller kicks things off. Then Terry Hall and his mustache Join us for the weekly news.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, my friend. We're good.
Thanks for having me, man. We'll get to some footage some other time. It's a radio show. They can't see what we're going to play, so
Maybe we got to do a special one day just to hang out.
yeah, I'll play some stuff probably Friday night and get people caught up to speed and what I'm doing.
All right, buddy. Take
We'll
care.
see you in either 2 weeks or 4 months. Thanks for having me.
Probably a couple weeks because I got to get a hold of your guys there. Yeah. So Tom
Get
may
Dan
be
and
on
Clive
again
on.
in a couple of weeks here. We'll let you know. Tom, take care.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Take care. Bye. All right, everybody. That's Tom King. Terry's in the background warming up in the bullpen. And I will be right back, everybody. There's my schedule. Check it on out. Let's bring in the mustache, Terry Hall. Look at that gorgeous lip blade right there. Holy cow. You don't get
What's happening, Captain?
not much, my friend.
Are we having fun yet?
I am, brother. How about you?
Hey, man, every time you have Tom on, Tom's such an interesting dude.
He's so good, man. He is so good. Dr. Bob, how you doing? He is so damn good. And
You know what? The way he is on camera that's Tom. That's just Tom.
Yeah. I think the world of the guy. I really do. And
if-
I owe a lot to you in creating that bridge to get Tom on this show. So good job there, buddy.
If you guys get a chance, the new one that he's in, Skywatch, it's Skywatch 2026. You can pick it up off Prime. It's like $2.99 to rent, but it's good. I mean, if you really want to see a Skywatch and what you do when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're looking up, that's it.
Here we go, Terry. 3 minutes for Swampy. We're kicking off hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We have Swamp Dweller and the Weird News of the Week with Terry Hall coming up here momentarily. But first, I want to say hello to all of you who are taking your time in the night to tune us in on every terrestrial radio station we have out there. Thank you very much. We're also on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quarion. Quarion is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Before I begin, I am a 16-year-old male. About 3 years ago, I was in Virginia visiting family over summer. We were right outside the DC area and staying in a 2-story house near the freeway. On the other side of the freeway was a forest. So my mom, her boyfriend Eric, and I were all staying at Eric's parents' house. We had brought some night vision binoculars and decided that tonight was the perfect time to use them. So, after dinner, we gear up and head out. We pass under the freeway and into the woods. When we got about 5 minutes into the forest, we set down our bag and take out our binoculars. My mom looks around with them for a while, seeing a few squirrels here and there. She gets tired of them and passes them to me. I look around for a while, being careful not to look at the freeway for fear of being blinded. I spot something behind a tree, about 50 feet to our left. I concentrate on it, trying to figure out what it was. It looks like a pale, bald anorexic man, looking straight at us from behind the tree. I start to get a bit uneasy, but I'm hesitant to believe it's really there. I ask Eric to take a look, just in case. To my despair, he sees it too. He describes it much the same way I did. Now, Eric is a former amateur boxer, and I train MMA almost every day. But neither of us wants to stick around with that thing. We start heading back to the house, crossing under the freeway. We take another look behind us as a car comes by. All 3 of us see a pair of glowing eyes, lit up by the headlights on the other side of the freeway. We say F that and head back to the house as quick as we can. When we get back, Eric's parents are asleep and my mom and Eric go upstairs to the guest room. There's only one guest room, so I have the couch downstairs. I'm a little too excited after seeing that thing in the woods, so I end up staying up all night. Sometime, probably around 3 a.m., I'm watching TV and start hearing footsteps above me. I immediately remember our earlier encounter and panic a little bit. I try to calm down and tell myself it's just one of the dogs or maybe someone who couldn't sleep. I keep hearing the footsteps for a while until I hear a doorknob jiggle. I find it weird that they're trying to open a locked door, but try to ignore it. They stop, walk around for a few more minutes, and then before I hear anything, it's quiet again. I stay up until the sun starts coming up and then pass out. My mom wakes me up and I remember the footsteps from the night before. I describe what happened and ask if one of them got up at any time. She says no, and I think it must have been one of the dogs. That until she tells me the room above me is the office. No one was in the office and the door stays locked at night. My heart sinks as I piece it all together. I don't know if it was that thing for sure, but I think it was. I've done a lot of research since then, trying to figure out what this thing could have possibly have been. I found 2 creatures that seem to match it. I think it was either a skinwalker or a wendigo. Whichever one it was, I'm just thankful that that door was locked. I know I wouldn't be able to fight that thing no matter how tough I am.
Thank you, Swampy, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. So thank you very, very much, Swampy. Here we go. We're going to bring in Terry Hall. It's that time of the week where we get to the weird news of the week.
Terry Hall's got a mustache, standing by the board, curled up like a question mark, got secrets to be told. From UFOs to Bigfoot tracks, ghosts that won't behave. He's thrown me to the headlines like a cosmic wave. Weird news of the week, yes, strange and it's wild. From the edges of reality to the unexplained fall. With Terry Hall reports, the stag and the sprawl. On Space Out Radio, let the Terry start, comes it all.
There he is, everybody. Terry Hall comes on in. We always appreciate Terry being here. How you doing, buddy?
Wunderbar. How are you this evening, old bearded knowledge?
I am great. And you know what? I'm just going to say a couple of things here. So it's my show, and I get to say what I want sometimes. And you just going to have to, I'm going to say this politely, shut up and listen.
It's time for Dave to be Dave. Be Dave, Dave.
Let me tell you something about Terry Hall here, people. Okay. Every man wants their 3 a.m. friend. Okay. Every man wants their 3 a.m. friend. That guy who you can call up at any time when whatever mood you're in, and they will be there. They don't ask questions. They don't ponder what if. It's not about excuses. It's what do you need? And Terry Hall is my 3 a.m. friend. I call him something else, a 3 a.m. something else, but for radio purposes, we'll call him the 3 a.m. friend. And I will tell you, yesterday, I was feeling a little sorry for myself. And Terry snapped at me a little bit. You know, he grinded his teeth on me a little bit. And I will tell you, Terry, my 24 hours since you did that has been awesome. It really has. You woke me up because as somebody who suffers from depression and anxiety, sometimes I see the world a lot of a glass half empty instead of half full. Terry is a half full kind of guy. And for you to be able to pick me up in that time where I was sounding very downtrodden, very negative, you know, just trying to figure out where I stand in this world, you were that 3 a.m. guy who brought me some light at the end of the tunnel. And I wanted to say publicly, thank you for that.
You're welcome, Brusky. Anytime. Anytime.
And he's humble. He's humble.
Yeah, we just tuck and roll with it, man.
Yeah, you are good, and you deserve a pat on the back. And by the way, for our audience, Terry is entering a new decade on Saturday.
Yes,
He'll be 60 years old.
The
Just
big
became a
60
grandpa
this
a
year.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now you're turning 60. So a lot of great things happening in your life, buddy, and you deserve it.
Well, thank you. And my grandson is just amazing. He's amazing. I didn't think you could get baby hungry at 60, but I was wrong. Thank God for my kids and letting them have them. Well, dude, guess what?
What's that?
Mankind's knowledge of, like tool using skills once again got moved back this week.
What happened?
In Greece, they were doing a dig in Greece, and they found 2 artifacts at a lake shore in Greece, and they're reported to be the oldest wooden tools ever found, 430,000 years old.
Wow.
Now they think that they had a whole litany of tools, but because they're wood, wood doesn't preserve very well. They're not exactly sure how, but the reason they're thinking they're tools is because directly in the same part of the same area, same stratus, same part, they found elephant bones with cuts in them. So we have now been tool users for 430,000 years.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Do you think, Dave, that maybe previously that they might have tried to sweep this under the rug with the whole Clovis person and all of that kind of jazz?
I don't even know. I don't even know how that would work. I don't even understand really how carbon dating works. I really don't. I mean, it's that recent story, and this is what screws me up sometimes with stories like this, is they recently, I guess during World War II in Greenland, there was a squadron of planes that had to crash land there. All the pilots survived.
Yeah.
Okay? And the place kind of got lost. And recently they were able to find the location, but they couldn't find the planes. And when they started looking for the planes, they had to go through 250 feet of ice in order to find the planes. That's how much the ice moved in that area. But when they carbon dated the ice, they figured the ice was a quarter million years old. So these planes, although being, say, 70 years old, were under a quarter billion year old ice. How did that happen? Now metal will sometimes melt into the ice.
Yeah.
So that's possible, that was able to happen. But on the flip side, it kind of makes me wonder. I mean, quarter billion year old ice.
I could see that to a certain depth, but to melt down 250 feet into the ice since World War II.
Yes.
Right? World War II ended in 1945. That's a pretty big step wow.
Very big step. Very big step. Scary step.
Yeah. A €250,000. So it kind of makes that brings up something else, like the tools that they found down in the coal mines, that the hammer is 500,000 years old and that kind of thing. I mean, it's not ice, granted, it is coal, but kind of makes you wonder where they kind of how this stuff happens. How many times has the earth been reset to where we've been very advanced, and then something like the Younger Dryas happens and it just wipes everything out? Recently Randall Carlson did another thing, and they've pretty much proven that during the Younger Dryas period, at one point or another of it, the entire east coast of the North American continent was liquefied. It was like that, how soil gets so saturated it gets like quicksand. The entire east coast of North America was like that at one point in time. So you could imagine there wouldn't be anything left after something like that occurred. So how many times have we been reset here to where, these tools that are popping up that are 500,000 years old, or in this case, wooden tools that are 430,000 years old? What else are we going to find?
No idea, my man. That is an interesting story, though. Very interesting story. I got one here for you.
kind of makes me hope they get Zawi Hawass out of the way so we can actually explore Egypt how we're supposed to. Go ahead, Dave.
This one courtesy of usmagazine.com. A Florida teen is in some hot water with the law right now.
Florida.
Why?
Oh, boy.
Well, she allegedly assaulted her own mother, not with a stick or a weapon or anything, not verbal abuse, anything like that. She threatened her mother, Terry, with a pork chop. You can't make this stuff up when it comes to Florida people. Yeah. So online arrest records confirm the allegation is lodged against Farrah Kernan. The 18-year-old was arrested by Martin County Sheriff's Office. According to the arrest affidavit, Farrah's mother, Cynthia, had called 911 for help and later told officers her daughter had been drinking during the day. Then this, Cynthia alleged, eventually led to a verbal disagreement between mother and daughter. Of course, mother's not going to be too happy with underage drinking. Cynthia stated that during the argument, Farrah smacked her in the face with her right hand. It is stated in the affidavit. And then Cynthia advised she had video footage of the incident. Police reviewed the footage, which was shot by one of Cynthia's friends, and it showed the teen smacking her mother and then recoiling backwards, Cynthia did. Cynthia then told police prior to the video recording, Farrah also threw a pork chop at her, which was not captured. Oh, well, that's the video we wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
David, the responding officer actually wrote that they observed food residue on Cynthia's left shoulder, which was consistent with the pork chop.
Well, hopefully she doesn't get trichinosis. The young lady needs to be sent to culinary school to learn how to respect the pork, man.
Yes. Apparently, Farrah, when interviewed by police, appeared confused and provided statements that were inconsistent with the evidence and not relevant to the battery. Farrah later became emotionally upset, began screaming and crying, and continued to act uncooperatively. You just don't do that with the police. Farrah was arrested on a single count of domestic battery. She was being held on $2,500 bond. U.S. Weekly then called Farrah's phone number, which was provided by the affidavit, but they had not heard back at press time. It was unclear if she had actually retained a defense attorney, and records show that she had not been asked yet to plea against the charges that went against her. But apparently, bad news in Florida, you will go to jail if you smack anybody with a thawed pork chop.
Well, that's a one-sided food fight if I ever heard of one.
Isn't that the truth?
Dude,
that the truth?
if I would have hucked a pork chop at my mom, I wouldn't be here right now. I just wouldn't be here right now. And it wouldn't have been wait till your dad got home either. My mom would have killed me right then and there. We were in the kitchen, plenty of knives. My mom always cooked with cast iron. Those pans are real heavy, and she could huck one pretty good too. Trust me. So, what is with? First off, laying your hands on your mother to begin with, that's a no-no. I'm sorry, guys. I'm old-fashioned. That is a no-no. If my dad was dead and I would have raised my hand to my mother, he would come back from the grave and kill me immediately. That first off, but to disrespect the pork, man, Dave, what's coming with the kids nowadays? I got one for you out of Canada. You crazy
I want to hear this. What are my fellow Canadians up to?
Well, you're going to need to run to the Kingsgate Mall in Vancouver because they now have a museum of personal failure there.
I heard about this.
It's an exhibition at Kingsgate Hall. It was dreamed up by this young guy, Burnaby, a resident. I think his name is Evan Collins, a resident of Burnaby. And it's everybody bringing back and bringing things in like the wall of rejections that are applications that have been rejections and firing notices. And I mean, one lady brought down her wedding dress. So, I mean, I've heard that Canadians are polite and everything, but to actually have a museum that you can go in and have somebody pat you on the head and tell you that it's okay for your personal failure, an entire museum, Dave. What are you guys doing up there, man?
Oh, you guys don't have Mark Carney as your prime minister. That's why.
Are you gonna
You
are
know
you
what?
gonna grab the family and run to Vancouver to go see the exhibition of a museum of personal failure?
You know what? It's so easy to pick on. It really is really easy to pick on. I mean, if you had one of your personal failures go in there, what would it be? What is your biggest personal failure?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know if I'd even want to admit that on. I mean, like,
I'll
you
tell
know.
you one of mine, if you don't mind. In 2007, I was going through a very, very depressing time because of my separation from my ex-wife and later finding out that she had a boyfriend who became her second husband, which is
Mhm.
cool. Okay, it happens. But it was hard on me. And it was right when I was transitioning, getting out of terrestrial radio and getting into my financing work that I do during the day. And prior to that, a few months prior to that, I had met a gentleman who I'd met the last time I'd seen him was when I was like 16, 17 years old. No, a little bit in my early 20s. And this gentleman was now the head scout for the Edmonton Oilers at the time.
Mm.
And I said to him after I went up and I met him because I recognized him and he hadn't seen me since I was a young buck. And I went up and had a chat with him and he goes, "So what do you do now?" I said, "Well, I work in sports radio, but I'm here to kind of get, I want a job in the NHL. I want to work in hockey." Right. And so I said, "Would you mind if I sent you a resume? So that way I could maybe start off being what they call a bird dog scout." I said, "I'm at all the
Mhm.
junior hockey games. I could maybe take some notes for you guys." He goes, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea." I said, "Look, I'm not looking to get paid. I just want the opportunity to prove myself." He goes, "Absolutely. Let's talk about that." And then this whole thing with my ex-wife happened, and I never called him.
Mm.
I never called him. I was so down and out and I had a bad like I didn't want to leave my job in sports radio. I loved it, but I absolutely hated my boss. Like I don't hate a lot of people in this world, but
Mhm.
that gentleman I hated.
Hmm.
And so going through this whole separation and then, leaving one career for another, I took my radio career and I pushed it way back into the distance. Like that was my long time ago thing that I did.
Mhm.
And I never made that call. And 20 years later, I regret, well, not 20 years later, 19 years later, I completely regret not making that phone call because who knows where I would have been.
I've
I,
got one like that I can relate to that one, Dave.
we got 20 seconds.
It's a same similar story. Gentleman gave me an opportunity, and because of the certain circumstance and situation, I wasn't able to take that opportunity, but it would have been a complete life change for me. So I'm there with you. They just made me remember that one.
Absolutely, my man. Absolutely. We're going to continue with the weird news of the week with Terry Hall. It's always fun to have Terry on the air with us. More funky, weird stories and a couple of paranormal ones as well.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy. We're clear.
Jules made a pretty interesting observation of the studio there, Dave.
Yeah, with the picture in the back that is dueling black holes.
It looks like they're trying to eat the owl.
And you know what? From my angle here, it looks like alien gray eyes.
You know what it reminds me of? Me looking at it. You know how back when you were in high school and you were playing the films on that reel-to-reel player, when the bulb got too hot and it fried the film, and it went zzz. It's kind of what it looks like.
Yes, it does too, doesn't it?
Ooh, we got a good one about the Indy 500 this year, dude.
All right.
Yeah,
right.
boy.
Sounds
That
like-
whole thing with the wood tools in Greece, though, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was totally cool, dude.
And they've had some more discoveries with the way that they're using the LiDAR and everything in Egypt now as well. So, I mean, technology is changing it again, man.
Ain't that right? Man, this show is flown on by tonight.
You know, the last time, even listening, because a lot of the time with it being a radio show, of course, I'm doing everything else around the house, and I've got you guys in my ear, and Tom is just I mean, it seems like when you have him on, it just goes. Whoosh. He's just an interesting dude, man.
BC Herbs, welcome to SOR chat. Where in BC are you? I always like to find out where my fellow British Columbians are from. We got 3 minutes here.
Oh, we got a story about something else too.
I decided to have a root beer tonight.
What kind?
A&W.
My granddad, when I was a kid, he always had frosty root beers in his refrigerator.
LaDonna in Texas, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. If you're new here, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't already, because we are here 5 days a week for your yummy entertainment into the weird and strange.
While you're hitting like that little share button next to it, share like you were taught. Don't be selfish, okay?
That's right. That's right. And I will say this, I'm one of the rare consistencies in our field because I'm here all the time. Terry forces me to it. He literally says, damn it, Dave, get to work. No, Dave, you are not going out to look for Bigfoot or ghosts tonight. You're going to do your frickin' show. Oh, come on, Terry.
Dave's like the Walter Cronkite, man. He's good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea. He's always here. Over a decade now.
Always here.
He's always here.
I'm always here. You know, until the snow melts in the Caribou, then I'm always here, man. All right, we got about 1 minute to go. I want to say a giant thank you to our super chatters tonight, GASCO, Mel WD40, Karen in the Woo Train, Area 54, and Sweet Donna C. Thank you for your love and support, everybody. It really means a lot. And we thank you. Thank you.
Well, it looks like you got people reflecting on things that we could have or should have done.
Oh, yeah. It happens. All right, brother, we got 20 seconds. 20 seconds. I'm going to kick things off. Okay, Terry? All right. Here we go. All right, we are into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. The weird news of the week with Terry Hall continuing here on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us. Hey, we're going to get right to it right now because you don't want to hear me do the whole rundown thing. And we got too many cool stories. We need the time in order to do it. So let's get right to it. Terry, do you know what the recent history of monsters is right now? You know what's in the news? We can't hear you, man. You got to put your microphone down. There you go.
Just the ones on Prime that are on that Monarch show, or maybe it's HBO. I'm not sure, but no.
Okay, well, let me get to this here because I got a couple for you here. And one of the channels that I like and pages that I like on Facebook is this group called Creepy Acres. Okay, they always have these little historic events. So I'm going to read a couple of them to you. On this date in 1959 in New Richmond, Ohio, the Claremont County and New Richmond police received a frantic call from an anonymous man ranting about an indescribable creature he saw emerging from the Ohio River just 4 miles outside of town. Now, the police dismissed this call as a prank phone call. But here's the kicker. Soon they receive another phone call about the same creature, this time from a truck driver who claims that while driving on Kellogg Avenue, crossing the bridge that spans the Little Miami River, which is a tributary of the Ohio River, he saw a monstrous figure rising from the river. Suddenly, all the streetlights along the 4-mile stretch of Kellogg Avenue simultaneously went off. The police investigate, but find nothing. For the next 2 days, numerous witnesses called the police to report sightings of a large, shambling nightmare haunting the waterways of the area. The creature is said to be huge, hulking, gray, bipedal creature with a lopsided chest, 4 grotesque tentacles, and rolls of fat covering its large, bald head. Then, as suddenly as it began, sightings of the indescribable Octoman simply end. And to this day, it remains unidentified.
Super mutant. It was a super mutant.
Right?
That's wild. I'd never heard that one before. And I'm
Me
from
neither.
back there.
Me either. Then we get to this one, which you might know a little bit about. We're going to head to Pennsylvania and New Jersey because in 1909, Officer James Sackville from Bristol, Pennsylvania, was out on patrol. Now, remember, there was no cars at this time. So when they talk about patrol, you had 2 ways of doing it. You walked with your billy club or you rode horseback. Maybe sometimes a pig or a cow, but mostly on horseback. Well, he's on patrol when the neighborhood's dogs start barking wildly, like something has spooked every dog in the area. Sackville continues along Buckley Street towards a small bridge, because it's always bridges involved. His unease only growing as he begins to cross it. Suddenly, moving below the bridge draws the man's attention. Glancing down, he spots a creature with strange features. Frozen in terror, Sackville watches as this hideous creature begins hopping away. He draws his pistol and charges the beast. It responds with an eerie cry, unfurling its bat-like wings and starts to fly away. Not wanting it to escape, Sackville empties his firearm at the creature. However, the shots have no effect. Over the next 7 days, more than 30 additional sightings of the terrifying creature are reported as newspapers begin to cover the encounters. Panic starts to seize the area. Schools are closed, businesses closed, as people increasingly refuse to leave their homes in fear of the Jersey Devil.
Yep, heard lots of stories, and they are persistent to this day.
Yes, they are. Do you know how the Jersey Devil came together? You know what happened there?
Wasn't it a curse from a witch, Dave? I'm not sure. Fill me
You're
in.
halfway there. You're
Yeah.
halfway there. Okay. So this is apparently what happened. Okay. The origin of the legend in Pine Barrens, New Jersey. It traces back to the 1700s and the Leeds family of the colonial New Jersey. According to the legend, the wife, known as Mother Leeds, was so sick and tired of getting pregnant and having children around that she cursed her unborn 13th child that they were going to be something of the devil. The child is born, looks extremely deformed, and then it transforms. And allegedly, wings pop out of its back. It has cloven hoofs for feet, and it flew up the chimney and into the night, never to be seen again by the family. That's how it happened.
Ew.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
Yeah. It's about as crazy as that murder castle that they have in New Orleans from that one lady who tortured all the slaves and everything. That place is, I mean, how could you curse your own child, though? That
I don't know. I could never imagine that.
Different times, I guess, but I mean, wow.
Don't forget, it was early in the 1930s, man. People were selling their kids on their doorstep due to the Depression.
Very true.
If you wanted a kid, you pay a quarter.
Very true. It happened a lot. Matter of fact, I had someone very near and dear to me in my own family that was during the Depression. It had something exactly that happen to them. So that's kind of personal when you bring that one up. But the Jersey Devil, I mean, it's supposed to have a horse's head and devil wings and cloven hooves. Does it have a tail? Does it have a tail, Dave?
It does have a tail with an arrowhead on the end of it. Right? And that is also how, when the Colorado Rockies moved from Denver in the National Hockey League, they moved to New Jersey, and that's how they got their name of the New Jersey Devils, is over the cryptid creature.
That's very cool.
I didn't know that up until I started this show.
I had no idea.
And here I am, a sports journalist focusing on hockey, and I didn't even know the cryptid tie to that.
Well, I got a good one for sports, Dave.
Okay, give it to me.
This year, for the first time in several years, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles will be back at Indianapolis for the Wiener 500.
That's exciting.
Now, what's going to make this one set apart from the previous ones that they've had is they've got enough Wienermobiles to make all the classic kind of hot dogs. So they're going to have a chili Wienermobile, and they're going to have a Chicago-style dog Wienermobile. They're going to have lots of different Wienermobiles. But it's an actual race that they used to have with the Wienermobiles, and they're back for the first time in a while this year.
That is incredible. About time. You know what? I've always wanted to drive one of those Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles. I really have.
I always thought that would be a cool job to hand out the whistles, man. Just get me on the mobile. I'd be happy just doing that. But if you ever looked at one of those things, because I've seen one up close and personal, and you look underneath it, dude, those things are hot rods. They're like built. They've got built engines. I mean, the tires on the back end of them are huge.
I would love to. I've never been up to seen one up close and personal. I would love to.
And the engineering that it's a pretty amazing thing, honestly, to be see one of those up close and personal. I mean, they go fast enough, Dave, to run on the Indy track. So if that tells you something, that's a pretty quick hot dog, man.
Well, you know what? I'm glad they're bringing the race back. Like I said, you know, one of the things I love about the U.S., and I know everything's politically charged right now, okay? But America, from an outsider, I'm going to tell you something. The one thing that I love about your country is how you guys are with tradition. Whether it's baseball on opening day or the Oscar Mayer Wieners or, you know, the hot dog eating contest at Coney Island or whatever it is, you guys are all about tradition. In Canada here, we don't do that. And I hate that about my country. And I love my country. I do. Okay. But I hate the fact that we don't have any cool traditions. And if we do have traditions, we have to make them, we always have to tinker with them because Canadians are always afraid to hurt somebody's feelings. You know what I'm saying?
That was part of the discussion we had yesterday, as a matter of fact, wasn't it, Dave?
Yeah. So one of the things I love about the United States is that you guys are huge on tradition. You're huge on celebration of that tradition and that history, the fireworks, the parties. I've never, you know, one of the most beautiful sights I have ever seen in my life. I was traveling to see friends in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I caught my flight from Vancouver to Toronto. I had like a 3-hour layover, and then at 8:30 that night, we fly off from Toronto over Lake Ontario. And the minute we crossed into New York from Lake Ontario, watching the 4th of July fireworks that people were shooting off, I've never seen fireworks from an airplane. I had an hour and a half flight, and all I had was to stare out my window and watch the fireworks below. If you've never seen fireworks from below from an airplane on the 4th of July, you are missing out. Do yourself a favor, America. Literally book a plane ticket on July 3rd or July 4th and fly somewhere in the States because it is fireworks galore. One of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen.
That's almost like a bucket list thing now, Dave.
Yeah. Dude, it is so worth it. So worth it. I mean, I think it would be harder to see them like on the West Coast or in the central US where things are a little bit more spread out. But on the East Coast where everything is really jam-packed with population and cities and towns, it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Literally one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
That must have been just stunning.
It was completely. All right, I got a story here for you. You ready? Ready? You ready? Okay, here it comes. All right. The inventor of the controversial Sarco suicide pod says AI software could one day replace psychiatrists in assessing mental capacity for those seeking assistance to unaliving themselves. Philip Nishke has spent more than 3 decades arguing that the right to die should belong to people and not doctors. Now, the Australian euthanasia campaigner believes that this controversial pod, a 3D printed capsule designed to allow a person to take their own life using nitrogen gas, says he believes artificial intelligence should replace psychiatrists in deciding who has the mental capacity to end it all. We don't think doctors should be running around giving you permission or not to die. Nitschke told the Euro News Next, it should be your decision if you're of sound mind. The proposal has reignited the debate for assisted dying and whether AI should be ever trusted with the decisions. I'm not a fan of this, Terry. I'm not a fan of
not
this.
either.
Okay, because in Canada here, we have something that we call MAID, which is medically assisted help in passing away.
Right.
They are changing the qualifications for that. So they are allowing perfectly healthy individuals now. Okay, like recently there was, I think, a 26-year-old man who suffered from depression.
What?
Who was allowed to do it, to take MAID, to get the hell out of Dodge.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just wrong to me. Like, I am all for it for people who are, say, in such medically rough shape. Maybe it's disease like cancer. Maybe they are paralyzed from the neck down. Maybe they have Lou Gehrig's disease or something along those lines. Okay. I am okay with that. But when you start branching it out and it's like buying going to an auto mall and buying a vehicle, which way, who wants it? Let's do it. Like Oprah. Hey, you want to off yourself. You. That's not what it's supposed to be about, And at some point you have to, I just want to confirm this. 1 second here. I'm just looking up a statistic.
Yeah.
So in Canada, in 2024, okay, MAID, which is medical assistance in dying, took the lives of 16,499 people.
That's quite a number.
To me, that's way too high. Way too high. It's a bad story, but you know what? You have to talk about it because it's a weird story because you have these people who are, some of them predominantly healthy, maybe a mental issue. Okay. I suffer from it. Depression.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But at no point would I sit there and say, hey, my day was bad enough that I'm going to go check out in the Hotel California.
I want you to do me a favor, Dave, since you're looking stuff up.
Yeah.
Look up when the first commercial was put on TV for an antidepressant drug.
Let's check it out.
I know what the date is. I want to see if this is going to surprise you or not.
Looking it up right now.
And yes, Squarehammer, I do that all the time. Fall asleep and then wake up and we're still listening to the show. Dave's on for 3 hours every day.
I believe wasn't it Prozac in 1987?
1987. It was Prozac in 1987. So tell me, what did everybody do for depression prior to 1987 before they had all of these drugs?
Oh, yeah.
That's supposed to cure the depression that's even more common now than it was back in 1987. Until, look, dude, they just had a story last week that a guy had to bail out of one of those AI cars because it parked itself on a railroad track and locked the doors.
Yeah.
He actually had to break the window to get out of the thing because it was that's AI for you. So, I mean, I used to say what was that movie with Tom Cruise, the whole future crime thing? You know which one I'm talking about?
I don't usually watch Tom Cruise unless it's
they had these psychics that could see into the future, and they would go out and arrest you prior to you committing the crime.
Right.
Because it had been seen. So when AI steps in here, if they're going to grant you permission because you're depressed to self-delete, I mean, is it going to become mandatory at some point in time? I mean, dude, that's a thin line to walk.
I don't think you should play with God that way.
Mm-mm.
Whether or not you believe in God, most people, even the atheist people, when they get to their point of judgment or the point of their last breath, the majority of them say, God help me.
Well, Dave, thinking about it biblically, the sin of a self-deleting is the one that you can't be forgiven for, because how are you going to ask for forgiveness, right? I mean, that is a deterrent in itself. That's the one sin that you can't be forgiven for, right? That's the big one. So maybe when King James was writing that version of the Bible, he kind of thought, well, it's kind of dark and blurry out there. We're in the middle of this little mini ice age, and everybody's hungry. But let's still make them think twice before they go check into a nitrogen hotel and not wake back up the next day.
I love some of the slang you come up with. It's just awesome. My friend, we got about a minute and 10 seconds to go. We are coming down. Let's see if we can find something interesting here. How about this one? A former Gary Road assistant principal has won his major battle in the Mississippi Court of Appeals for overturning the school board's decision to fire him after he read a controversial book. Toby Price, former assistant principal, was fired after reading a book called I Need a New Butt to students in the Read Across America Day. The appeals court overturned the decision, saying the board had no reason to fire him. There's nothing concrete in record demonstrating that second grade class was subject to unnecessary embarrassment. No child or group of children was singled out during the reading, and Price acknowledged the outlandish nature of the book's premise. The only evidence in the record that it could be argued to provide was substantial evidence of unnecessary embarrassment was described by one teacher. So somebody went Karen on him on a book that's fun, but maybe a little controversial, and they decided to fire him. Karens, stay out of the way. No more Karen. No more Karen. Terry, thank you for your great help tonight as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Give me 2 seconds, Terry. Let's get you over here. Unmute you now. There you are. Nice UFO you got there, Terrence.
Yeah, this is fun to watch. When he sucks up the cow.
Oh, nice.
It moves.
Love it. Great. Where'd you get
This
that?
is my favorite Christmas present.
Where'd you get that?
Well, I live in a very rural area. It's
Yeah.
just at our local little pharmacy. They just have these little knick-knack things all over. And I told Julie, the lady who does the ordering, that I needed a couple more. So she's ordering them in for me. They'll be 1 cent to Canada here before too long, my friend. Thanks for having me on tonight, Dave. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Good night, crew. Thanks for all the interesting questions. And once again, Dave, great show tonight, man.
No problem. I appreciate you, buddy.
I like it when Dave gets to be Dave and be Dave. So be Dave more often, Dave. Okay, Dave?
I will try.
Good night, old beard of knowledge. Ciao for now, everybody.
Mustache of power. I always appreciate you. All right. Let's go like this. Just getting everything ready here. And forward that. Give me 2 seconds, guys. There. Go here. Doo, doo, doo. It's amazing how much spam email I get. I don't know what that one's about. Oh well. To hell with it. To hell with it, I say. All right, go here. There's nothing there. Weird. 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 Give me 2 seconds. Nothing. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. Let's go here. Let's go here. I don't want that. How did that happen? Wrong one. That looks good. And then we could go like this as you listen to me talk to myself. Here, download. Downloading. I don't remember pork chops and applesauce from. I can't remember the last time I saw a Brady Bunch episode. Really can't. Are you on the square? Are you on the level? I just found out Ghost is coming to Vancouver like in a couple of weeks, and it's like, damn it, I can't even get tickets right now. Too busy doing other stuff. I so want to see Ghost. I'm going to miss him again. But I will say this, it will be extremely awesome. It would be extremely awesome if Metallica is going to do a residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Old Davey is definitely going to go to that. I would love to see Metallica there. That would be impressive. Absolutely impressive. Me and my boy rocking out there. Little For Whom the Bell Tolls. Oh, that's just good stuff. That's just good stuff. So I made a really cool discovery in my cupboard. I'd forgotten that I bought some butterscotch pudding. I'm a big butterscotch pudding guy. I'd like to see Godsmack too. I haven't seen them. I'd like to. A friend of mine used to date Sully Erna. She was a model. I've seen the Real Brady Bunch house on the Universal Studios tour. I've seen Metallica twice. Oh man, I would have loved to have seen Stevie Ray Vaughan. That would have been great. So Pink Floyd, probably the best concert I ever went to was. You've seen GNR 62 times? That's impressive. I'm coming up time number 9. This year will be time number 9. I'm hopefully going to be able to squeeze 9 and 10 in. I haven't seen Metallica in a number of years. Like 15 years or something like that. But I got to take my son to see them. Best concert I ever went and saw, though, I will say this. I had 19th row on the floor for Roger Waters' 30th anniversary of The Wall. That was absolutely incredible. You can't even describe it. It was just absolutely phenomenal. Just beautiful music and art. Yeah, AC/DC is coming to Vancouver this year too. I was going to get tickets for them, but I decided on when GNR announced their world tour. I was like, well, my loyalty is to GNR, so I have to stick with GNR. Give me a second here. I've got Metallica in my head, damn it. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Anybody want to take a guess as to who's on tomorrow night? It's the final Thursday of the month. There's your hint. The final Thursday of the month. Who joins us? Varla Ventura, everybody. Varley Ventura is our guest. I'm going to start packing it up here. I want to say a big thank you tonight to Sweet Donna C, Area 54, Karen, JSCO, and Mel WD40 with the special lube chat. Greatly appreciate all of you. And we will see you tomorrow night. Do me a favor, if you can. I want to know what you thought of tonight's show, what you thought of Tom, the weird news of the week. Leave a comment below once we finish this feed on YouTube. And what else? Tell a friend. That's all I ask. Tell a friend. Appreciate y'all. Much love. Have a great night. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Let's do it all again in like 20 hours and 47 minutes. See you then.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.